All right, we're back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. And not only that, it's Valentine's Day. I'm coming live from Las Vegas from Funnel Hacking Live. What's up, guys? Pretty good stuff, Michael. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Look at you just doing it live on remote. I appreciate it. And it really means a lot that this show is important enough for you where you work it into your very busy schedule. So I appreciate you. I'm sure the audience does as well.
I want to say too that I'm excited because tomorrow, obviously, we're together. We're going to be doing One Rental at a Time celebration #2, the annual celebration. Can't wait to see all the One Rental at a Time community. And so super, super excited to see you tomorrow. And I know we've got an early start. So let me just go ahead. I'm literally,
Yeah.
I'm having a little bit of tech issues, but I want to
No,
make
you're
sure
good. We
that,
can hear you. It's all right. Just keep rolling.
okay, so let's get right into it. Let's get into this week. And for this week, really, I know like inflation, big things, PPI, CPI. What is it? What happened this week?
Yeah. So again, you got to remember, folks, we get 3 inflation reports each and every month. They typically come out CPI, PPI, kind of the first or second week. And then later in the month, we get PCE. And this is going to be, for the novice, a very confusing conversation, but I'll try to tie it together. So first, CPI, Consumer Price Index, was expected to finally go down in both headline and core, right? This was supposed to be the month where the base effect was going to be very friendly, and everyone was expecting a layup with rates going down. Thankfully, I created some content before it came out saying, guys, I think one of these numbers is going to surprise to the upside. The market's not ready. And sure enough, both numbers surprised to the upside. So once again, we were ahead of the curve. And it's frankly, if you go back and look at the data, it's kind of obvious. January, the last couple of months or last couple of years, has surprised to the upside because there's lots of services and things that reprice in January. And frankly, the experts missed it. We got it right here. So they went higher. The 10-year note interest rate ripped higher, was like 4.6 something. Because again, when that happened, when CPI happened, rate cut expectations, started to disappear. They went from 2 to 1. They went from June to September. It was kind of all bad. Next day, we get PPI. PPI was equally bad. It was also bad across all the numbers. But something interesting happened. Even though CPI was higher, PPI was higher, rates fell. And that probably caught a lot of people by surprise because, again, higher inflation expectations, generally speaking, means rates are going to be higher for longer. But what people don't realize, and we've tried to share on this channel a couple of times, is CPI and PPI are actually inputs to the third and most important inflation reading, which happens at the end of the month, called PCE. The Fed has told us repeatedly that PCE is the most important, and that specifically PCE core is the most important of the most important. And the reason why rates went down, even though PPI and CPI were hot and frankly all kinds of bad, is the inputs for PCE come from CPI and PPI. And people were doing imputed costs, and they realized that PCE now is actually expected to go lower. Right. So the internals of CPI and PPI, the numbers that matter most to PCE, are expected to go lower. Now, historically, if we go back and look at the last 12 to 18 months, the people that do this for a living have been fairly accurate. So we are holding out hope that the most important inflation reading, PCE and then PCE core, shows softer numbers. So that's how you can have a bad, horrible CPI print, bad, horrible PPI print, and still get rates going lower. So we're going to have to see. There is a chance that they're just wrong about PCE, but for most people, they would have been shocked. How can rates go lower when inflation's getting worse? That's how.
Very interesting times. Thank God we've got you to dissect all of this and to interpret it, because this is definitely a confusing week. Let's talk about retail sales. What happened in retail sales this week, and how does it affect our overall economy and where we're at and rates and such.
Yeah, retail sales is one of those numbers that we can basically figure out how the U.S. economy is going. If you don't remember, the U.S. economy is about 60%, 65% consumers. Retail sales came in very weak, very bad. They came in negative 0.9%. They were expected to be something like -2. Last month was +7. So again, a bad number. Rates will be going lower on this number. I will remind you that last January was also equally bad. So again, we are starting to see consumer behavior be almost repetitive. Now, a lot of people will come out and say this is the start of a new trend. The consumer is tapped out, yada, yada, yada. That's what they said last January. And the preceding or the following 11 months were okay to great. Let's not overreact, right? When we can see historical precedent and then some outcome different, let's see what happens in February and March. But yeah, January was bad. Last January was bad. And yeah, I expect rates to go down because why? People are looking at retail sales saying, hey, if it fell roughly 1%, the consumer has to be tapped out. The economy is crashing. Everybody is looking for the crack in the economy. And I expect a lot of negative talk today because of this number. And I also expect those people to say, you know, they're going to ignore the fact that last January was equally bad. So, you know, we need to be smarter than the average bear. And we're going to hold out for February and see what's what.
We will see what's what in February. So let's talk about what with the 10-year. Talk about the importance of the 10-year, how it ties to the 30-year mortgage rates, and then what happened this week.
Yeah, so the 10-year note is the thing that we should talk about. In fact, it's what President Trump and his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent are talking about. It's not about the Fed. We need to stop beating up the Fed. The Fed has almost no power over mortgage rates. And it's all about the 10-year note. That's where the focus should be. And that's where Scott Bessent and President Trump are focused, is on getting the 10-year lower, because there is the 10-year, then there's what's called a spread, and then that is our mortgage rates. So what we are looking for, and we should stay focused on, is the 10-year. So again, it ripped higher. Now I'm talking about rates. Rates ripped higher on Tuesday, I think it was, CPI, then ripped lower, equally lower Wednesday, followed up by some more weakness today. I think it was CPI Wednesday, PPI Thursday, so I'm off a day. But yeah, I think rates will probably end up lower than they started the week because of weak retail sales this morning.
Very interesting. We will keep our eye on it. So talk about Fed speak. What is Fed speak? What happened this week?
Yeah, we had a lot of Fed presidents speaking today. We actually had people talk before the nasty inflation reading and after the inflation readings, and it was very interesting to see the differences. You know, early in the week, pre-inflation, they're basically saying, hey, you know, we need to wait and see. We got to watch the data. You know, basically taking March rate cuts off the table. That's been the talking track for the last couple of weeks, is stop thinking about March rate cuts. It's not happening. Then obviously we have the big inflation print on Wednesday, followed by one on Thursday. And now Fed presidents are basically like, yeah, inflation's proven to be stickier than it is. We expect it to go down, you know, yada, yada, yada. So again, they know they have more work to do, is kind of the short answer of the week. It's certainly, yeah, more work to do.
We will keep an eye on it. More work to do. We're not through the woods, and obviously something we're going to keep an eye on. Let's talk about Bank of America. They had a rate call.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, Bank of America was the first of the big banks to reiterate a call that I frankly made in Q4 of 2024. And that is, there's going to be 0 rate cuts in 25. I think it's meaningful because there's a lot of hope and prayer out there for commercial real estate. There's a lot of hope and prayer for unicorn, pre-IPO companies with horrible valuations. There's a lot of people hoping that lower rates will make those deals just look a little bit better at the margin. And I've told you in Q4, it's not happening. Now, Bank of America, Brian Moynihan, CEO, is saying it's not coming. And again, I think it's a good thing. One of the ways to kind of reinvigorate a cycle is you got to clean up the mess from the last one. And if we just keep extending and pretending we don't take our medicine, it just gets worse from here. So again, I think my rate call was extremely early. Now we're starting to see some big names kind of echo the sentiment. So it feels good to be not be the only guy on the island saying no rate cuts in 25. So I got some friends. We're not a big army now, but at least I'm not by myself.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? I mean, right, like you said, there's still things that need to be worked through the system. Let's talk about in terms of looking at mortgage spread. Talk about mortgage spread. Explain kind of what's traditionally a normal mortgage spread, and then what's going on today and how it affects 30-year mortgages.
Yeah, the historical spread going back multiple decades is between 175 and 180 basis points. So basically, the layman out there, just take the 10-year note, add 1.8%, and rough and tough, that's been the historical average for mortgage rates. During the pandemic, that expanded to well over 300 basis points. I think the highest I saw was 309. Today, we're sitting right about 265. And the reason this is important to watch is I actually think there's a very good chance as we roll through the year that one of the ways rates are going to go lower is not the 10-year, it's the spread. And I think the spread just tightens up a little bit, frankly, because 2025 is going to be a horrible year for real estate, right? Transactions, I've said, are going to go below 4 million. But what happens when you get there is there's a lot of institutions that will be competing for that piece of the business. And at some point, the only thing you have to compete on is rate. We would call it price in most other things, is rate. So as they start starving for business, they're going to start naturally compressing that spread. Now, I don't think it gets down to 180 basis points, the long-term average. But, if it goes from 265 to 225, that's 40 basis points. That gets you, possibly below 7%. So I think the big thing to watch this year is the spread, not necessarily the 10-year notes. I think the 10-year note's kind of stuck for this year. I think the 10-year note gets better next year when we kind of bend the curve on the deficit and things of that nature. But this year, I think it's all about the spread.
Spot on. And it's interesting because as you're explaining that, it makes sense why Barry Habib would make that bold prediction. Why? Because he's talking to the CEOs of all the loan servicers, all the originators. It makes sense why he's optimistic, because he knows that that's going to happen, that mortgage spread, as an insider. So that makes perfect sense. Let's keep going. Let's talk about year-over-year rates. What are your thoughts there, and how does that all play out?
Yeah, this is, most people are missing this, right? I have said for a long time, I've been right that, a couple of years ago, home buyers were upset because they remembered 4% and then they were 7. Then they remembered 5 and they were 8, right? So it was just the consumers being consumers, right? And then we had this moment where people remembered 8% and rates were 7. So they were excited. If you go right now and you look at mortgage rates last year, same week, same day versus today, they're about the same. So what we're finally seeing in interest rate is a basing. And the longer that happens, the more that consumers will come off the sideline, because they will understand that rates are just 7. They won't remember higher, they won't remember lower. They will come to accept it. So again, watch how long this basing happens. And I think slowly consumers will come off the sidelines.
There we go. It just normalizes. So makes perfect sense. Talk about disrespectful offers. What is that? I would say I have a different term, but I want to hear your definition of disrespectful offers. What is it, and why is that important today?
Yeah, disrespectful offers are how investors should be winning today. Right. We have listings, days on market rising. We have want to sell, and we have some people that need to sell. As investors shopping for deals, it's our job to do great deals. The best way to do a great deal is to get, to buy on price or terms, depending on what you can negotiate. And I think the best way to talk about a disrespectful offer is to celebrate a deal that our community got this week. I've talked about it a couple of times, but it just bears repeating. There's a wonderful couple, Owie and Ann. Hopefully I got those names right from memory. They were shopping in their buy box and doing the work. They found a triplex that was listed, I want to say, for $425,000. They did the job. They thought that was overpriced. They followed that triplex for a year. Folks, this is not something that happens in a minute, a week, a month. It takes time. It takes finding that motivated seller. As I understand the story, at some point that motivated seller lowered the price. Let's call it $350. I don't remember exactly. Let's say $350. A pretty significant drop. Now, if you were just a normal investor, you might jump on that because why? 350 is better than 425. It's like 75 grand better. Why would I push for more? Owe and Ann said, you know what? Been on the market a year, significant price drop. I'm going to take a shot. There's some motivation there. So their first offer was 225. 225. Now, of course, the seller has the right to respond and blah, 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 which they do. Ultimately, they negotiate a triplex once listed at 4.25 for 242.
Wow.
Win-win-win. That's a disrespectful offer.
Yeah, that is a great offer. Wow. That is, yeah. So an aggressive offer, disrespectful offer, whatever you want to call it, you call it. But in the end, in this market, we have to find the bottom, right? We have to find the bottom by writing deals that work well for us, right? So that's the end of it. That's what it's about. Let's talk about Michael. All I've wanted to talk about this whole time is Vegas. I'm here in Vegas, as I said, and you can see behind me. I'm here. Woo-hoo. You can see Funnel Hacking Live. We're all in line. This is the VIP section to get in.
Yeah, I got like 10 or 15 friends that are there bugging me like, why aren't you there? Why am I not there? So yeah,
it's crazy that Ryan.
Oh, we lost your sound, Ty, but Ty's just talking. We lost your sound, buddy. Technology. That's all right. I knew where Ty was going. Let's see if he comes back. Really, what Ty was going to be talking about? It's okay, buddy. I got you. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So Vegas, we're here, and it's this weekend, the One Rental at a Time event. I can't wait to see all of the One Rental at a Time community. Super stoked. 2 days, absolutely nonstop. Michael, virtual tickets. Now I paid a couple grand to be here, fly, blah, 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 hotel, travel, all of it. Virtual tickets, how much are they? And tell people why they should be buying their virtual ticket.
Yeah, so virtual tickets are $99. They're a steal of a deal. You can go look at the Eventbrite link for the speakers you want to, or the topics you want to hear. Not only does that give you access to watch the Zoom, but you're also going to get the replay. Just like everybody who bought a physical ticket came out, I'm going to give a replay because I know there's sometimes you'll miss a topic or you want to replay it. And I just want to give and exceed expectations. So go buy the virtual ticket on Eventbrite. You won't be disappointed. You'll get the video after. And, I expected to sell 50 tickets, virtual tickets. I think as of today, we sold 39. So let's see if we come through with those final 11 or more today. And come see it. I've been working on it for 6 months. I was up early today because my mind is racing. I got up at 4 a.m. this morning. And, I can't wait to get this party started.
I love it, Michael. I can't wait to see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Folks, don't sleep on this. Buy your virtual ticket. It's $99. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So much value. Plus, you get all the replays so that you can go back and study. There's absolute fire. All of the panelists, the guests, everyone. Michael, thank you for all that you do. I can't wait to see you. I was going to say have a great weekend, but
I'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great weekend. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Love it, man.
All right, guys, take care. Enjoy your day. Ty, again, thanks for doing this. I know you're busy.